Hello, everyone.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
And
Welcome to
welcome to another episode of
This is the Circle Podcast.
My name is James.
It is your host, Philip.
my name is Daniel.
Like always, I'm here with my best friends.
All right. So today will be a pretty fun episode.
I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, goodbye.
Goodbye, party people.
See ya.
Are you recording?
Yes. Good to go. We're hot.
Me.
Do some water real quick. Do, re, mi.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and humans, aliens, life beings alike. Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of the Circle Podcast. My name is James, and I'm here with my best friends and co-hosts. They would like to introduce themselves.
Oh, yes, I would, James. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Andrew. Thank you to all the recurring listeners and new listeners. I think we have a very interesting topic today. If you'd like to know a little more and deep dive into, the USA's very interesting internet situation, this is the episode for you.
Yes. Hello. My name is Philip. It's good to see you again. Let's do this.
Great intro. Thank you. And real quick, if you have not done so already, please make sure to check us out on Instagram at The Circle Pod. Check us out on TikTok.
Please.
Also at The Circle Pod. And if you're curious what our beautiful faces look like, go check us out on YouTube, The Circle Podcast. Give us a little peeky, a little peeksy deeksy.
Please. I need to quit my day job. Please.
Dude,
Yeah,
same.
come on now.
I need to be famous.
You want more episodes? We need more fucking views. Let's make it happen. So with that being said, as Andy was saying, today's episode will be about the monopoly or the oligopoly that we have in the U.S. when it comes to internet service providers or ISPs. Before we get ISPs, I like that. Before we get into the topic, we're going to test a little something out. We had talked, I want to say it's been a couple months now, about doing like our own little segments each episode. So we're going to give a little test drive to one of those. And I really want to do a weekly segment on what's trending in news that in technology news, pretty much. So anything related to tech companies, new technologies, breakthroughs, anything like that. I hope I could be, your guys' source for information. I was telling these guys before we started recording, I had my material ready to bring this up last week, but it just didn't come up organically, and I didn't bring it up before we started recording. So this information might be a little dated, but were you guys following, because I know you guys were on Reddit, were you guys following what was going on with all those subreddits going on private, and they were like protesting about a Reddit employee?
No.
No? You guys didn't see that? Okay.
No.
So over a week ago, for those who are on Reddit, you might have noticed that a lot of subreddits went on private, and pretty much what that means is you just can't view any of the posts on there if you hadn't already joined. And the reason is because there was someone named Amy Challoner, who is a trans woman, okay, from the UK. She was formerly known as Amy Knight, and she had just been hired onto Reddit as some type of like moderator, but she was actually working for the company Reddit. And in the subreddit, I think it was UK News, I believe, one of the mods on that subreddit remembered some stories of some shady shit that went down with this person, Amy Challoner. So they linked an article, and immediately their posts got taken down and they got banned. So that subreddit was kind of trying to figure out what was going on, and in their attempt to get an answer from Reddit, all Reddit responded with is, we have a policy in place to protect one of our employees from doxing. And for those who don't know, doxing is pretty much when someone leaks your information, and people on the internet use that in a malicious way. So they're saying, we have systems in place to protect our employees from doxing, and that's why it got struck down. That's all they said. Eventually, a lot of the moderators for all these subreddits across their website figured out that it was because this particular article was about this person, Amy Challoner. For those who don't know, Amy Challoner, she was a politician in the UK. She was first part of the Green Party. And she was like a huge like LGBT plus advocate over there. And she was running for what was she running for? She was running for some type of political role in the UK. And when she was campaigning, she had hired her father, named David Challoner, to work as her like campaign director. So what had come to light after this whole campaign had started was that this guy, David Challoner, he had already been charged for raping, kidnapping, and torturing a 10-year-old girl.
Jesus Christ.
And not only when they charged him with that, they found a bunch of child porn and stuff like that. So he had already been charged. What I can't find the information for is because he was charged in 2015. And in 2018 was when that whole election was going on. So I don't know. Oh, okay. He was appointed. The actual title was her election agent for her, for the role that she was running for. What I don't understand was if he was charged in 2015, how is he still working in politics in 2018? I don't know if that's when like the charges were first brought and he hadn't gone to court yet or what. He is in jail now because he was found guilty. But so she had this person on her campaign. The people at the Green Party found out. So then they pressured her to resign from her position, suspend her election. And then she pretty much got kicked from the party. From that point, she went to the Liberal Party in the UK. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Sorry, again, I was more prepared last week, but I didn't bring it up.
She's just jumping ship.
She jumped to the next party. So she jumped to the Liberal Party where she was working there. But then her husband, who writes, he's some type of writer. I don't remember anymore off the top of my head. I didn't store this information in my brain. I kind of just fucking dumped it. But he was some type of writer. I don't know if he was like a fiction writer or if he was just like a blog post type of thing. I don't know. But he had a lot of like borderline pedophilia type content in his writings. And then at some point he released this tweet where he was responding to someone. And the important part of this tweet, it says, "I fantasize about children having sex, sometimes with adults, sometimes with other children, sometimes kidnapped and forced into bad situations, and sometimes coerced through fantasy mind control."
This was a tweet?
This was a tweet. And
Okay.
talking about his writings, right? Now,
What the fuck?
of course,
What's going
Amy-
on in the UK?
Of course, Amy Challoner faced what?
Said Brexit.
Brexit. Of course, Amy Challoner faced backlash from this, and then in response, they said that her husband's Twitter got hacked and that he would never have said that. Blah 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 blah. Who fucking knows?
Interesting.
But it's just a little coincidental that
Her dad.
her dad
Mhm.
got charged with kidnapping, raping, and torturing a 10-year-old girl. And then now her husband is talking about...
It's almost like she was conditioned to it. Like she knew, like grew up with it with her dad.
Yeah.
And she found a dude that's
I
just
think-
like him.
I think that's what it was. And what's strange is her response to when her father got... Or like when the Green Party found out about her father, Let me see if I can. I've been trying to find her response.
So, did her? What you were talking about? Something getting or someone getting banned off of Reddit about saying something about her.
Yeah,
Was
I'm
that
gonna
okay.
circle back around her.
It's a long fucking circle, bro.
just wait, we're almost there. So I can't find her exact quote. But pretty much she said that. Oh, she said she didn't know about it. But then
His fantasies?
no, about her dad being charged.
Oh, okay.
First she said she didn't know about it, and then later she said, "Oh, in retrospect, I realized that was a bad decision to make him my election agent." Which was like weird, like in retrospect. What do you mean? So that kind of sounds like at the time you thought like, oh, it's fine. But then everybody
okay.
got pissed off, and then now
Yeah.
you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Or more so like, oh, now this can affect me.
Yeah, yeah. So that happened with her husband tweeting that shit. Whether he was hacked or not, who knows the truth. But she got kicked from that party too, from that political party. Somehow ends up in the U.S. Okay, and she had already had a relationship with Reddit because she did moderator work for one of like the LGBT plus subreddits. Now again, I would like to stress the point of this story is not that anyone who's trans is a pedophile, right? So I don't want anyone listening to this to make that conclusion and to jump to see, they're all sinners, they're all from the devil, blah blah blah. No, it's just every group of people is gonna have shitty people. Okay, just how you have shitty fucking religious people, you're gonna have shitty people in that community as well. So Reddit hires her on. Okay. And then people started to find out that Reddit had some type of algorithm in play that if anyone posted anything with her name, it would just immediately get struck down and the poster would get banned. So then, this is why I'm surprised you guys didn't see this.
That's censorship at its finest right there.
For a whole day, a bunch of subreddits went private, and then even then, all these people were just posting about her. Like literally just posting her name nonstop, and it would say something like "ban me now, motherfuckers," something like that.
So, if they go private, does that mean within that subreddit, like Reddit can't take it down?
I think they still can.
Okay,
they still can. But at that point that it blew up, they said that they had already fixed it, and that it was an issue with like pretty much like bad configuration. Like they made their algorithm too like picky type of thing, right?
So was it the case that they knew that this stuff was happening?
Well, this is where it gets funky. So finally, after all these people were protesting for like a whole day on the platform, they finally released a statement saying that this employee no longer works at Reddit, that they got fired. And then they were saying that they had no idea about their past, and that it was an oversight when it came to hiring, and that they didn't correctly vet her background, that they didn't actually look into and like do the process that they normally do. But right away, if you have any critical thinking capabilities at all, you would think, one, why the fuck are you not checking into the backgrounds of the people you're hiring?
Especially an ex-politician coming from the UK.
Right. Two, you didn't know about her background, yet you had an algorithm in place to strike down any negative information about her.
Which is weird. Why would you have that person then?
That's what's so weird.
If you knew like there's going to be outrage eventually, or trying to conceal the outrage right off the bat, why have the person there? I don't get that.
I don't know. I think this is my thinking. I would argue that a lot of Reddit's users are probably in the US. And the only reason why I would say that or think that is because I'm always seeing posts where people are saying like, why does everybody think anyone on Reddit lives in the US? So that kind of tends to say that a lot of people probably assume that because they themselves live in the US. Anyways, what my thoughts are, if a lot of Reddit's users are US based, they probably assumed that people in the US didn't know who this person was, right? Like I didn't know who this person was until all this happened. So they probably thought that this person coming here would like just kind of go under the radar, right? That no one would really catch what was going on. No one would really care. And I'm thinking that they even thought even more so with their algorithm in place to just strike down those posts. They probably thought it would go unnoticed. But what fucked them up is that a moderator for one of the biggest subreddits of the UK got banned.
It's also weird too, though, is because it's Reddit. Like, it's one of the most like open platforms for like spreading information that there is.
It's the most community-based thing.
Like, do you not know what your own product is? Like,
that's the thing.
I don't understand that.
There's been a lot of talk about that for like a few years now in certain subreddits of how Reddit has definitely shifted from that. Because they used to be that. I definitely don't think they've been that way for a while. Honestly, ever since they took down Watch People Die, like that's when they started making that shift towards some type of censorship.
So sum up this article again. This article was trying to like share where she was coming from and why she had gotten kicked out of these parties. And
so the original article shared just talked about her political career.
So she didn't do anything wrong technically, right? She was just surrounded by people.
And
technically she made terrible choices of
the people she was around,
being with a husband that did or had these fantasies, or having a father that did what he did.
Like,
but technically she didn't really do anything.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good point. So I feel like maybe from Reddit's point of view, again, she was already doing moderator type work for their LGBT subreddit. So I'm assuming from Reddit's point of view, they thought, okay, this will be a good, good to show diversity, support. She's already working with our communities. Because I think that's why they hired her. Her role had something to do with diversity. Like fostering diversity on the platform.
But also, if they allow someone to attack her or her history, it's someone that's in a very sensitive group at the moment, right?
Yeah. It's touchy.
Very touchy to attack anyone in that group.
Community. Yeah. I think, but what's funny is that the way they went about it made it way worse.
Yeah.
Because I mean, none of us knew who the fuck this person was. I never even heard her name until all this happened. And to be fair, I mean, it's not that like Reddit needs to make an announcement for every person that they hire, right?
Yeah.
But instead of having something in place to keep it hidden, where that's shady. As soon as you're like hiding something from people, that's already kind of shady, right? Just let people say what they want to say and explain your side of the story. If they want to take the route of like, listen, we know her past, but she didn't do anything wrong. It was the people around her. If they want to argue.
Me personally, if like Reddit came out and did that, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
I respect Reddit more for doing that.
Yeah. Or even then, most people probably see it and be like, oh, whatever. I don't really care. And that's it.
Yeah.
But the issue was with the systems in place. Now, this kind of ties into like this question of, what can you really automate, right? You need to have, it's funny because like we're in this time where we're trying to automate everything. We're trying to have, these algorithms control everything that doesn't really need human interaction or human eyes to double check. But we see that these algorithms will interpret things differently than what was intended. Right. So if I want to give Reddit the benefit of the doubt and say that its only purpose was to protect her information, like her address, her phone number, stuff like that, and maybe something went wrong with its implementation where anytime her name was mentioned, it just fucking went like red card on everybody. It just shows that there's certain things that we still don't have down. We still need human eyes to double check some of these decisions that are being made. And I mean, we see that in YouTube too, where a lot of people were having those copyright issues.
Yeah. Where
their own stuff was getting copyright strikes. They weren't allowed to make revenue on it. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that. I picked that topic for last week just because I feel like it touched on a lot of like areas of what's going on right now with like censorship, using like these algorithms or like machine learning systems to make decisions. Now, this is what's tough, I feel, about these platforms, because you could go like no censorship at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like when you have that, you attract a certain group of people that you don't want on your platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think of like 4chan or like fucking what was the other platform that just got taken down?
Parlor.
Yeah.
Which one?
Parler?
Yeah, Parlor. You have. It seems like it always leads to that. You're always gonna have some type of group like that.
Extremist.
Yeah, you're gonna have extremists on your platform, and you could see it that these companies are always trying to figure out where that line is.
Yeah.
Like what's good to censor, what's not good to censor. So I don't know if you guys had any opinions on that, or maybe like some solutions. Like, to break it down, Andy, do you think they should have taken down Watch People Die?
I laughed when you said that earlier because that was one of my favorite subreddits. Not because I like to watch people die, but it was just like that subreddit was just real life. You know what I mean? This happens around
Reality,
the world.
the harsh reality.
We are so we are so sensitized now. Just by us, I mean like here in the U.S. Like we don't see that every day. You know what I mean? We don't
No.
see people die. We don't see the realities of war. We don't
Mhm.
see the realities of OSHA,
drug
like no OSHA.
cartels.
We don't.
Mhm.
We don't. Yeah, exactly. Cartels and
No OSHA.
like
Yeah.
in other countries. You know, these countries that necessarily aren't like quote unquote up to the standards that we are, right?
Hmm.
And it would make you humble, like you know,
Or
like
grateful,
they're-
at least.
grateful, exactly,
Yeah.
because like you wouldn't die here. You wouldn't so much die in a factory like you would in China or like you would in somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like this horrific death that would never happen here. But I personally I don't think that should be taken down.
Where do you think the line is, though, between something like that, where we're showing these accidents, or even like cartel violence, versus like that New Zealand shooting, where the guy was literally like almost like a call to arms before he went and shut up the mosque.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a guy of if you have it's either no censorship or like all censored. And for that reason is because it's just hard to say like in these situations like if that New Zealand shooter never had 4chan, would he have still shot up that mosque?
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I doubt 4chan was like a catalyst for him. I feel like it was a deeper issue. I just think 4chan was there for him.
It was
I
to
feel like
spread his message.
that and also to feel somewhat accepted because I feel like there's a lot of people that think that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether
Yeah.
there's an internet platform for you to speak it or
Yeah.
whether there's not.
Mhm.
You know, and it was just it was there for him. There's a lot of people I'm sure that were agreeing with him and maybe that made him feel validated. But
I feel like the other problem too, though, is like if you have something like that, it just invites more of that.
Mhm.
You
yeah.
know? It's kind of like the Avengers in the way, right? Was it Ultron?
Oh, like you're inviting more threats.
Ever since Iron Man or Tony Stark said that he was Iron Man, it invited more danger to the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of the same thing in a way.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm always going back and forth with this issue,
Yeah.
with this idea.
I don't like censorship like YouTube. They've been censoring a lot of things for
Like needless reasons.
needless reasons or people that have made their platform what it is. You know what I mean? Like big name YouTubers that have been there for years that has brought millions of eyes to the platform and now they're censoring them.
Yeah.
It's like you're only doing this now because you're big enough to do it.
Yeah.
But before, when they were bringing all these people in, it wasn't a problem.
Mm.
It goes back to hypocrisy. I talk about it
Yeah.
all the time, but that's it for me. Like I hate that.
It's the issue of censorship is very weird to me because you like you have stuff that's going on in real life, right? You have people like going back to the 4chan New Zealand shooter. You have people who feel that way. You have like subreddits like Watch People Die. You have all this shit that's just real life, you know. But then, like this thing that you just mentioned, like you have people who are behind the scenes who are like
Influence,
blocking, like who could potentially do worse.
Yeah.
You know, who are blocking. Who knows? Like, who is that the only case that we know about?
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else could they have done, or what other cases could there have been that were
Just haven't come to light.
that worked out for them? Right?
Yeah.
It's
I think I agree. And I think that's why we're talking about this now, is we're in this weird part of information where it's no longer government controlled, right? Like the whole thing of making censorship illegal, it was all government related, right? So we don't have some type of tyrannical government that can say you cannot post anything negative about those in power, right?
Yeah.
You can't critique the president, you can't critique senators or whatever. But now we have this point where you have these huge companies that are pretty much in charge of dispersing information to everybody. And they're private companies, right? So on one hand, I definitely agree with the argument of like, well, they could do what they want, right? If they want to censor this or not censor this, it's up to them. But you'd also have the reality of like, well, what other options are there? You know, which it is getting better, but it's still like, you know, if we try to start a news network today, we could. But how successful are we going to be competing with these other
major news networks?
Yeah.
CNN, Fox,
It's
MSNBC.
realistically, it's where the odds are stacked against us, right?
Most likely too, if we get big enough, they'll just buy us out.
Yeah, that's another.
yeah.
That's the thing. I don't know, I think what makes it tough too is that I kind of agree with what you said about like censorship. It's like you kind of have to go. It's too subjective, right? It's too subjective. Now, when it comes to like business motivated censorship that you have with YouTube, where they're trying to make their platform, you know, I in my eyes, it's that they're trying to make it as attractive to the most amount of people as they can. So that's why they're trying to censor everything.
Yeah.
They don't want certain videos on there. It's all profit driven,
Yeah.
right? But then you have ethical driven censorship of like, okay, should we allow people to share fake scientific information that can harm people if they believe it? Should we allow that? You know, where it really matters? Or should we allow people to create a Facebook group of, you know, a Nazi Facebook group and say like, we support Hitler, we love Hitler, you want to meet other people like you, come join our group? Like, should that be allowed? And that's the dark side of the internet, is that you can connect with people that have crazy ideas just like you that you would never say out loud to the people around you. But you could join this online forum where you get that validation, and other people are going to, you know, tell you that you're right, and you're going to get this sense of camaraderie in this group and like us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't get that if you can't connect with people all over the world, you know, who are probably in the minority that have that point of view. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like at the end of the day, it's still always going to be a human making that decision of what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Yeah. That's the thing, too. I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg didn't think Facebook would be almost the problem for an election, right?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't think he'd be sitting in
They
front
had
of
no idea.
Congress or the Senate or whatever, and having to talk to each congressman and answer their questions. But the other problem, too, with censorship is you don't want to create echo chambers of the same ideas.
Right.
They have to be challenged, right? But the problem is extremists. At some points, it goes too extreme, and then
What do you do?
what do you do?
That's it. And I think that's...
I wouldn't want to be Mark Zuckerberg. I wouldn't want to be the guy that says, we're going this direction. That I think this is right. You know, I'm going this way.
Yeah,
fuck
that's
that.
a lot of pressure.
Especially on one of the biggest platforms or...
like
most
ever.
populated platform on the
Yeah,
planet.
probably like the founding of social media,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
This was a conversation we had like last week. Remember when we were talking about? Well, we were just talking about.
Oh yeah.
I was saying that it feels like people who are put in this situation are just making decisions off the fly. Obviously, because they've never thought that they'd be in these situations, which makes sense. Like they have to just make their best judgment,
Yeah.
whatever.
And they can't go to anybody
Yeah,
else.
who do you go to if you're Mark Zuckerberg?
For
You-
advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you just
especially the time we're living in, where censorship, sensitivity,
Data privacy.
all inclusiveness, cancel
Yeah.
culture, like these are all thriving enterprise. Well, not enterprises, but
Like ideas.
Ideas, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. In this time, like you have to fit the narrative, because like people just protest. Like
Yeah.
why would they want to be on your
'Cause
platform?
there's two things. Like I want to touch back to censorship in a way, or not censoring anything. And I feel that way because what makes say that these Redditors, like creator or whoever censored or whoever put into place that program where it cuts out anything that has to do with her. Say they knew her background and all that, and they censored that because they ended up hiring her as a moderator. What makes them better than the 4chan
Like every
shooter?
other.
Like what makes, you know what I mean? If they know about that and they actively were like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna censor this so no one knows about it. Hopefully no one finds out about it. You know what I mean? What just makes them better than any other extremist? I feel like nothing really. You know what I mean? Like it's almost on the same. Like they're censoring. They're censoring because they know something's bad.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the only counter argument I could really come up with is that what these platforms do is they like project the human condition to a bigger level, right? So, and what I mean by that is when you have a platform that makes it easier to share human ideas or human experiences or opinions, you're going to get the good stuff and the bad stuff, right? You're going to get the most beautiful things of humanity and the most ugliest things of humanity. But what makes it tricky, and I always think of Batman when I think of this topic, it's kind of like Batman. Like, to the people of Gotham, Batman isn't a person, he's like an idea, right?
Yeah.
Or like, you think of the guy from for Vendetta. He's an idea. And the thing that's tricky about ideas is they're not tangible, but they could spread like wildfire, right?
And very subjective.
They're
From-
very
from
subjective.
human to human.
Everyone can interpret it differently.
Yeah.
So you have something like, like this, it's going to piss a lot of people off, right?
Yeah.
But it's not going to really motivate anyone to be a predator, right? But when you have something like the New Zealand shooter, or again, he is, it's almost like a call to arms of those types of people of like, look, I'm doing this for our group. That's where you have the danger of like the possibility of it inspiring another person, right? And it's the same thing that we talk about with these school shooters and how the media glorifies them. And a lot of people say we shouldn't even say their name because all that's doing is making them feel like, they're getting their 5 seconds of fame. They're getting to be a part of history. And that's what you see with these fucking school shooters.
Yeah.
They want to go out in a blaze of glory. But going back, so then if that's the motivation behind the censorship is to prevent those types of ideas, realistically what you're doing is controlling ideas. You're trying to control what people think.
Yeah.
And going back to the other side, it's like like what you're saying, who are you to decide what people can think or not?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have those situations where the most people are going to agree, right? Like, okay, yeah, we shouldn't, support this, but there's always going to be a muddy line to that of like, okay, what's too much?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm not saying like those Reddit people knew, you know what I mean? It might not have been that. I'm just saying like if it does come to be that, like to me, if you're able to sweep something like that under the rug,
Like what else?
what else are you doing? You know what I mean?
Mm.
But who knows? I mean, I obviously I don't know anything. And another thing that I was gonna say is I think a lot of this just has to do with humans trying to grasp a concept that's like so out of our league in terms of like the internet.
Yeah.
Like
It's
obviously when
so
the internet
abstract.
when the internet was created, I'm sure whoever that whole team didn't even think it would be what it is today, right? And it's and you see that, you see like a lot of errors, and you see like a lot of things and a lot of arguments about censorship being questioned. It's just because like it's just humans like making decisions on the fly. They don't know what the fuck they're doing
Yeah.
half the time. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
understand that, right? That's
It's
just
uncharted territory.
but it just it's crazy how we've gotten here because of that. You know,
Mhm.
because of these like quick decisions or because of like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg not having anyone to go to for advice. And it just blows my mind. It blows my mind that we're here.
Mhm.
Like because of just possible quick decisions that had to be made with Facebook or like the internet or like, you know what I mean, like Reddit or just all those social media companies that have the most influence over people, right? It's just these platforms are going to be that. Like and you could argue that these platforms have more influence than fucking, you know, any political party out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
like this is going to be the future. So it's going to like this issue of censorship is going to be, I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's an answer because it's just going to be this constant thing of like we're going to
It's
have
almost like
this
a
situation.
philosophical question that doesn't have.
Yeah, like an answer. Like
Yeah.
something new is always going to spring up, and it's like, oh well, if we had done this back then, like obviously hindsight's 20/20,
Mhm.
but it's just like,
And that's what makes it tough is that these decisions are pretty long lasting.
yeah,
Mhm.
It's not easy to go back on them.
Yeah.
So we're making quick decisions that have long lasting
yeah, exactly.
Do you guys believe that the government should step in and create some kind of, or at least continue the conversation of why it is companies make the decisions that they do?
I think the only because that goes into the other issue. I feel like if it's going into not censoring, like the government saying you can't censor anything, I feel like that's a little better. But would I want the government to decide what should be censored or what shouldn't be censored?
Mm-hmm.
It's still the same issue. It's
Yeah.
still people making that decision,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. What was your question again? Sorry.
Do you think the government should continue the conversations of why it is that these mega companies make the decisions that they do?
Yes. And I just feel because of the influence that they have.
Yeah. Because I feel like if
I-
there was no checks and balances when it came to social media, then it's just going to run rampant. And at some point, what's the point of the government if these mega, almost trillionaire companies, you know,
Have
just-
that much influence.
Yeah.
I just think the impact the internet has could be like far greater than any government. Like you could essentially tomorrow a Facebook group could start up, and that could gain traction and traction and traction. And the next thing you know, you have 10 million people following. The next thing you know, you have 100 million
Yeah.
people following it. And guess what? That's the new government.
What would be that government interaction though? What would be the intervention that they would do that's acceptable?
I don't think there should be I don't think there should be government intervention in a sense where they're like telling internet companies to censor things. I think it should be maybe like something put into place where that's just on like a moral level. Like, well, like
Mm.
I don't know, like this is obviously like we know bad from good. Like, okay, this is bad. Well, like, well, maybe you should check this, or like maybe you should, you know, read this over twice, or
So it's
something.
more
you know what I
so
mean?
some type of ethical policy that
Or
you hope people
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
it's just gonna be like, yeah, because like, yeah, I don't know. This answer is beyond me.
I feel like at the end of the day, it goes down to the same root problem, and it's just people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue.
I think we're gonna need machine learning to solve a lot of these problems.
Mm.
At some point, I feel like it needs to gain traction and something
like
that
take humans out of the process.
something that learns on its own.
Mm.
You know, of course, there's gonna have to be humans making the decision, but something that I don't know elevates our knowledge in a way. Because this is obviously something where like you're either one side or the other. You know, like and if you're in the middle, it's very hard to just have an answer. Like right now, all three of us are struggling on what kind of idea we would have for the government to step in and say what is right or what's wrong.
I think that's the issue here is like what is right and what is wrong, right? Because like what, I don't know, like say they censor things, and yeah, it takes away like this violent rhetoric on like online and doesn't allow people to do that. But that decision in itself, I guess, creates like this whole other like timeline of horrible things that happen, right?
A whole other
like in
corruption.
At the time, censorship might have seemed right, but like it led to this domino effect of all this shit happening.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then you like vice versa, like yeah, this is wrong, but it led to this domino effect of everything right happening, right? Like, and I think that's why it's hard for me to say what's right and what's wrong because I don't know what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
You know.
I think what draws me to this idea of the internet so much and like censorship is that it's such a good like metaphor of free will, because at its core the internet is not owned by anybody.
Yeah.
Right? It belongs to the people, and there's a big like idea of freedom. Of course, you know, we do still have government intervention. There's still websites that will get struck down, you know, especially if they're doing illegal activities. But the main idea is that anybody can do what they want online. They could post what they want. They could download what they want. And it is up to the individual to decide how to use that. And that's very similar to what it is with life. You know, people can decide what to do with their lives, whether it's good or bad. And at the end of the day, they have that choice. And it's that same question of, okay, do we control what people can do in this virtual world? It's the same thing as, do we control what people do here? You know, like it's fucking which Avengers movie was that? Civil War, where they have a system to track who will potentially become criminals or enemies of the state.
Yeah.
And they launch those things.
Oh, you're talking about Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, that's the one.
Where they're able to just recognize who's going to be a future terrorist or whatever.
Yeah. And it's similar. It's kind of with that idea is it worth the peace of taking away people's choice? You know, because what if we had that? What if we could determine an algorithm that does that? And we can guarantee with 100% certainty that we can detect if someone will become a criminal or a terrorist or a killer, and we could have utopia. We could have peace on Earth. Is that worth that predetermined like intervention?
That's a great question.
Again, it's a subjective. This is a very subjective answer. But I can't help but see the parallels with that and this. You know, do we preemptively control what people can do online?
Or just even say.
Yeah, what they can do or say.
Yeah.
Or if not, then you got to accept. You have to accept it all.
Yeah.
The ugliness too.
Yeah.
You know.
See, these ideas don't bother me as much as like the idea of like actual internet providers. You know, and the oligopoly that they have over the internet in the U.S., you know, or even the problem we had with the
like
idea
net
of net neutrality. Because literally, like, if that would have went down, we all would have been screwed.
Well, it's
to an extent.
Yeah. that's because I was researching today for that this episode, and that's all I wrote about.
Was net neutrality?
Yeah.
All right. I think this would be a good time to pivot
Because-
into the original
Yeah,
idea,
it ties
right?
in. Ties in. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, going back to the main topic that was supposed to be in this episode was the monopoly that a lot of these ISPs have over like regional areas. So I was thinking to start with, I did a little research of how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking of starting with that. And the main idea is that sometime pre-70s, when this idea of cable was becoming a thing, a lot of the mainstream like television providers were hardcore against it, right? And the reason was because, you know, back then you bought your TV, you'd have an antenna and you got whatever channels were broadcasted to your area, right? And what the fear was is that these cable companies were just going to become a middleman of having people pay for what they could already get for free type of thing. And these, you know, television companies didn't like the idea of someone taking the cut of the money when they didn't need to, right? What changed everything was it was one of Muhammad Ali's boxing matches.
Oh, it aired on like.
It aired live
Yeah.
throughout the world, and the boxing match was like in Indonesia or something like that. I don't remember.
Reading something about that.
I didn't write those details down, but it was HBO that streamed this information, and they did it with this idea of cable and using satellites to broadcast information. And with that success, that kind of started some momentum to change things. And it was in 1984, Congress passed the Cable Communications Act. And what that allowed was for these telecommunication companies to set up cable infrastructure in cities and to literally make deals with cities. So, you know, they could come up to, let's say, like Time Warner goes to LA and says, hey, allow us to, you know, set up this infrastructure of cables throughout your whole city. And it's going to, you know, be attractive for people. They're going to want to come to your city. We're going to be able to provide better like entertainment services. Still at this point, there wasn't really this strong idea of the internet or what implications it would have. So once that started happening, these companies started setting up their infrastructures in regions bounded by like cities. That's how it began. And by the time that kind of like the dust settled, we already had this image of like a monopoly, right? And what I mean by that is, if you were in a specific city, you already right off the bat didn't have many options for where you would go to for cable internet. But Congress already started to see these issues, so they passed something called the Cable Television Consumer Protection and Competition Act of 1992. Yeah, and what it did was, SparkNote's version of it is it just put in a bunch of like policies and penalties in place to try to revive some competition when it comes to information, like providing information for these companies. That actually had the opposite effect. What that led to was a lot of these cable companies merging into these big conglomerates that they are today. So some quick statistics. In 1993, there was over 40 telecommunication or ISPs in the country, over 40 main companies. In 2017, there are 3 main companies, which is Charter, Comcast, and Cox. And you know that you might know them as like AT&T, Time Warner.
I fucking hate Comcast.
Spectrum. So those are the main providers that we have today. Now, the issue that what we ran into is that when Congress was first setting up that act to really push for cable companies to set up infrastructure, they didn't really know what the future held for this. They really were not forward thinking when it came to this idea. And the biggest issue is that when they were all setting up this infrastructure, there was no competition at the time, right? So not only was there not anyone else that these companies had to compete with, they were also getting federal backing to set up this infrastructure, which is extremely costly. And in this type of business, what's interesting is that there's a very polar relationship between the setup cost and the maintenance cost. And what I mean by that is it is extremely expensive to set up a cable or a broadband infrastructure in an area, but to sign up a new user, it's extremely cheap, right? So for instance, when we moved into this place, we were going to be a new user on their network. Their cost was literally just sending us a fucking internet box, right? The infrastructure's here. They just have to plug us into it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that we have now with, locally owned broadband companies, is the upfront cost to set up their own infrastructure is extremely expensive. Of course, they're not going to be able to use, AT&T's infrastructure. That's theirs. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, let me just let you hook into ours. It's not going to happen. And let's say they were able to set it up, to get that money to set it up, and just to get customers, they're going to have to drop their prices to compete with this big conglomerate, right? Well, it's kind of like poker. When you have all the fucking chips and someone only has, 1/10 of the pot amount, you could bully them all day, right? And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Comcast can just lower their prices and bleed you dry, and that's not going to hurt their revenue at all. And once that competition's gone, we're back to where it started, where you only have one option, and they could set the price to whatever they want. So that is kind of where we're at now. We're in this weird spot of there's no way to like break out of this wheel. It's just the trench is dug in way too far deep. And what sucks though is that because here's some more like facts. So according to the FCC, 40% of the US population only has one option when it comes to ISPs. There's only one company in their area, and that's it. Over I didn't write it down. I think it was for sure over 95% only have two options. So like for us, we only had two options. It was either Spectrum or AT&T. That's it. If you don't like what they offer, well, tough shit.
Yeah.
You can't go to anywhere else.
Not enough for you.
So because of that, and that's where we have this term, an oligopoly, right? Where it's not a straight up monopoly, but behind closed doors, it's known that these companies will discuss setting prices to not outcompete each other because there's no need to.
Yeah.
And what that does is, because they are no longer competing, there's no reason for them to provide better services, to upgrade their infrastructure, to make more reliable services. And that's why we have the shitty internet that we have now compared to all these other first world countries who, in hindsight, it's kind of lucky that they were setting up their infrastructure later, once technology was, going up the faster rate of improvement versus in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, where they had some idea of, okay, shit's changing all the time, so we need to build something that can last change, something that's flexible, something that can, can adapt. And we did not have that. We were still stuck in that idea of, you build something once and it stays around forever.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to touch on to like talk about what's going on nowadays. So the White House, or pretty much the Democratic Party, they are doing a proposal. They're doing a huge proposal, pretty much to upgrade like infrastructure, and digital infrastructure is included in that.
It's like what, a $1.9 trillion bill or something like that.
I think so, and just for digital infrastructure, I think it's in the billions,
I think all of it's in the billions.
like each one.
Yeah.
Crap, where's my link here? So, okay, here we go. So congressional Democrats propose an $80 billion fund to deploy broadband internet throughout the entire country, and with a minimum download and upload speed of 100 megabytes per second. And of course, AT&T fought back, saying that 10 megabit, not even megabyte. Oh, they're both megabits. 10 megabit speed upload and 25 megabit speed download is fast enough.
Dude,
that's what they're arguing.
If someone came in this house and told me that is good enough, I would punch them in the fucking face.
Yes, same.
Well, why don't we just go back to dial-up? Why don't we just go back to dial-up?
Hold on. We're gonna get there.
I have like. A whole
And
thing
their
about
argument is that AT&T claimed at the time that even 10 megabit download would exceed what many Americans need today, and they're saying that the costs of infrastructure to upgrade the infrastructure will outweigh the benefit that they will get.
Fuck them. Oh my god.
This is
So, and there's another quote I wanted to read where they talk about if that's good enough or not.
This is how you know their shit isn't true 5G. You know what I mean? That's
Okay.
how you fucking know right there.
So AT&T argued that the FCC's 6-year-old broadband definition of 25 megabit downstream and 3 megabit upstream is sufficient to support Zoom working and remote learning. But later AT&T admitted that when Zooming, streaming, and tweeting is combined in an average household of 4, it's easy to conclude that download speeds must increase. Now, if this was 5 years ago, I feel like the everyday American still wouldn't really care.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, whatever, like slower, that doesn't matter. Now that we are in the era of the COVID pandemic, where such a large population is working from home, and where now they're really starting to feel the effects of how important internet speeds can be, I hope that most Americans will realize that this is something that is important. Now, what's still kind of shocking, it's not shocking to me that you have someone like, I believe Andrew Yang was one of the first people to really take the stance of internet being a right, that internet access is something that every American should have. And of course, you have all these old fucking geezers who they're like, what? Like internet? Like, what do we need that for? That nerdy shit? What do we need that?
Yeah.
I was trying to do some last minute research, but I just couldn't find the data I needed. But I would argue that there is such a huge correlation or influence between average income, education, and health when it comes to internet access. Because if you cannot, think about those rural areas who have that 10 megabit download speed. How the fuck would they do online schooling in a situation like this? Or do you think they have access to really get the information that they need, and you could argue that
Those are all the people pushing to go back to school.
Yeah.
That's stuck
I wonder
on
why.
Fucking 3 megabytes up, fucking 25 down. Oh, I would fucking kill myself.
And
I'd off myself right there.
if you can't understand the implications of that and how important information is and access to information is, let me put it in terms that you might understand. Imagine that you could never play an online game just because your fucking lag is so ridiculously bad and you're constantly having packet loss, high ping. Imagine that. Imagine you can't play COD just because, dude, I got fucking 3 megabit speed right now. Sorry, I can't play. You can't stream videos.
Yeah.
Can't stream YouTube videos.
I think the other problem, too, is the average American doesn't understand what a megabyte is.
Yeah.
Right? 1 megabyte is what? 1,000 kilobytes?
I think so.
Well, so a byte is 8 bits.
Mm-hmm.
1 bit is literally a 1 or a 0. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have, 25 megabits, that's 25 bits times 10 to the power 6. So like 25 million bits, which you might think is a lot, but you have to realize how things scale. So from 1 megabit to 1 gigabyte is the difference of 1 million to 1 billion. Okay, which is a big difference. If that's the thing, a lot of people cannot comprehend these changes in numbers.
Yeah.
Just go on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find that video of $1 million versus $1 billion. How big of an area that changes.
Yeah.
The factor is huge.
What I'm trying to say, though, is that we're talking in megabits, right? But we can get internet speeds that are gigabytes
Yeah.
fast. Like, there's countries like South Korea that download in gigabytes.
Yeah.
That's fucking fast. Like, ridiculously fast. You could download a fucking full movie in, like, what, 15 minutes, probably?
Oh, faster.
Yeah.
Probably faster.
Well,
if they have
in
1
today's
gigabyte
age.
speed, they could probably download a movie
I remember
in less
hearing,
than a minute.
I remember hearing that, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, and they say that they could download, like, a movie in, like, 30 minutes on, like, an iPad
Back
or
then.
whatever.
Well, think of it this way: if you are downloading, let's talk about COD Warzone, right? Because I know that's a big thing that you read online. How big of a fucking update or big of a download it is. It's
Yeah.
like over 100 gigabytes right now. I think.
Mhm.
I think last I checked, it was like almost 110 gigabytes or something. If you have, let's do some fun maths. If you have gigabyte speed, right? You have a gigabyte per second. Easy math. It's going to take you 100
True gigabyte.
100 seconds, right? So, a little over a minute and a half. Let's say you have 25 megabyte speed, okay? Hold on, give me a second, because I'm going to have to fucking punch this in. So you have 100 gigabytes, which is... God damn it. One time I need a fucking mic stand. Give me a second.
100 megabits.
100 gigabytes, so that's going to be 100 times 10 to the power of 9 divided by 25 megabytes per second. So it's 25 times 10 to the power of...
I was going to re-say what he said, but he's saying it too quick.
He's got the mic now.
That will take 4 times 10 to the 15 seconds.
Jesus Christ. It's like fucking years.
It's not years, Andy. People are obviously downloading Call of Duty Warzone.
Dude, I don't...
Yeah, it's going to take you a long time.
What is it, like 4 days?
Well, let's see. How
Well, to
much
download it in
is
megabytes,
over
though, right?
100,000 hours?
Yeah.
What? Wait, I'm sorry. What was the megabyte speed again?
25... Oh, wait.
Oh.
Did I do No, 25 megabyte speed.
Yeah. It's
Oh. What did you say? 100?
Oh,
What?
no. I said 100 gigabytes because he said 100
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said 100 megabytes.
No. Yeah.
Because it's 100 gigabytes, right?
God,
For
I'm sure
I,
it's,
Warzone?
I think it's more.
it's around there.
Let me-
Jalen.
Let me see.
Well, if you think the whole game itself was probably around like 60 to 80, and then every update is probably like another fucking 20 to 30.
Yeah. Okay, on PC... so for just Warzone, 52 gigabytes. For Warzone and Modern Warfare, 133 gigabytes.
Yeah. God damn.
So 133 gigabytes. What's the average internet download speed?
I don't fuck
I
with
wanna say it's
anything
like
less
10.
than 400.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking guy over here.
I'll pay whatever I have to.
I really want to know this number. The average download speed, which, keep in mind, average is not the best way to determine because it could be skewed, right? Because you're going to have those handful of people who are in the fiber area
Yeah.
that are getting a gig. But average download speed is 18 megabytes per second.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
See, what's confusing, there's something I want to clarify too.
Into the top of the mic.
Sorry. This is what's annoying. Normally, or if you're in the computer science realm, capital M and capital B means megabyte. Capital M, lowercase b means megabit. which has a huge difference. It's a factor of 8, right? There's 8 bits and 1 byte. So, like, there's a difference between that. But all these fucking internet companies will just use capital M, lowercase b. But sometimes it's megabytes, sometimes it's megabits. Who fucking knows? It's so fucking annoying.
But dude, something like that is like, you know what I mean? Has such a big impact, though.
All right,
Like,
give me a
if people
second.
don't
You
know.
guys got it.
Do you think that's because of like just for advertising purposes to like draw you in?
Dude, definitely. That's what they did here. I mean, they didn't draw us in
Oh, they
because
sucked you in, dude.
we didn't come here because of the internet, but we chose a specific company.
I'm telling you, that's
Because-
gonna be a big thing for me when I find a place. I'm like, what's the internet provider around here? What? Who? Comcast? Fuck you! I'm out.
But
I hate Comcast.
I called and we were promised here, because I think we already had we were already moving in and stuff. I called a certain internet provider. You know what? Fuck it. I called AT&T, and they were like, I talked to whatever salesperson was on the phone, and they were like, "Oh, you're in the fiber area." I'm like, "Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
We're in the fiber area.
Fiber's a big deal too.
Are you kidding me?
I'm fucking waiting for fiber.
We got here. The day comes where the technician comes out. Right? He comes in here. I'm just like, "Oh, dude, do your thing." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I forgot how the conversation went down, but I ended up finding out that they were trying to give us 10 megabytes, and that was download. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here, right? So he was going to do everything, and then he went out to his car, and I told them, I was like, you know what, I shouldn't let this guy set this up,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know if it was a mistake
this
or
shit
not.
outta here.
I
Get
was
it
telling
outta
him,
here.
I was like, she told me we were in the fiber area.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this is not fiber area.
No, that's fucking 3 places down.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I went out there. I was like, you know what, man? I don't think this is a good idea. You set this up. You know, I was told something, and I'm getting something a 1,000 times worse. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we didn't have internet for like, it was like a week, right? But
Yeah.
we ended up calling who do we have? Fucking Spectrum or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever they are now, or Spectrum. And we ended up getting a quote unquote a gigabyte download speed, right? Which that's not even true.
Uh-huh.
You know, we don't have a true gigabyte here.
No.
But we ended up getting like a pretty good rate, honestly, I guess. But still.
How much did they charge you for installing it? And how much?
No, I think they charged us the first. They charged us 2 months in the beginning, I think.
And how much was that? Do you know?
So our bill every month is $109.
Okay.
So I think they charged us
218.
around like 218, like 230.
See, these motherfuckers. I have Spectrum too, right? And I'm trying to get a gigabyte speed. I have around like 400 to 500 right now, right? I want a gig. I don't like having slow internet. And there's like a million devices in my household, you know? And that's another thing people don't think about. More devices in your household, more internet's getting sucked up, you know?
Yeah.
Sucking up your bandwidth.
Yeah. And yeah, so I call them and they're like, "Oh, well, it's going to cost up around $250 for the technician to come out and set it up." I'm like, "Why? What is he doing anything different? Is he going to plug in some different kind of box that just sends a different signal?" $250. Tell me what I need and I'll do it myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'll watch a YouTube video. Like, come on. $250.
It's ridiculous, though.
And
but
then
they
the price that gets jacked up for my household is ridiculous.
yeah, and they can do that though
Yeah.
because of
There's
obviously
no competition.
you could count on how many ISPs are in this fucking country on one hand, the infrastructure, and because there's no competition.
Yeah.
Because like if you say no to that, where else are you gonna go?
Yeah.
Okay, I have some very important facts. So, it is always in bit. I think so. A lot of people say byte. I mean, I say byte. I've heard a lot of people say byte. But it's always in bits. So, the reason is like there is no like gigabyte speed. That would be crazy fast, right? So, like it's gigabit speed. That's what people are talking about, especially with fiber. So going back to our example, let's say you're downloading COD, 133 gigabytes. Average speed of the average American is 18 megabits per second. It would take you 16 and a half hours to download that. 16 and a half hours. which is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's a long time in terms of internet
For a
speed.
high school kid that's going to school, coming home, and still not being able to play.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
you stayed up until midnight or whatever.
You'd need to start it the night before,
Yep.
go to school, come back home, and then hopefully it's done by then.
Yeah.
Sounds like years to me.
Right?
The one thing I've learned so far in my studies is the computer science realm is very technical with the way they say things.
Yeah, it is very technical.
Calm down, dude. You gotta get the rest of the human race to just go with you. You start saying megabits, megabytes. At the end of the day, no one gives a shit. Just tell me what I need. You know.
So that's the thing. It's funny because like I'm taking a networking class right now for the semester, and one of the questions it was asking like, okay, if you need to download 16 terabytes of data and you have gigabit speed, what is your or it was giving you a bunch of speeds, right? So it was like gigabit speed, 100
What is your
megabit
ETA?
speed, or FedEx overnight. FedEx overnight shipping, like you just ship the whole fucking server. What's what's your best option? Even with gigabit speed, you're better off just shipping that shit overnight, because it would take you like it was over 3 days.
Yeah.
At gigabit to download, like I don't know how many terabytes it was. It's just, but that's the thing. You would think that the country that really led the charge in making the internet public,
Or just innovation.
yeah, the country that was supposed to represent innovation, you think we would be the ones that have not only quick internet access, but internet access for all.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even have that.
That's why Papa
Representing-
Elon Musk is gonna get everyone
Dude.
fucking internet.
When I was reading that whole AT&T article, in my
Right.
head I was like Starlink.
And that's what, like, this is the thing. I don't think it's going to be the godsend,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of limitations when it comes to wireless internet.
Mhm.
That's why you could buy the best wireless router that money can buy, and I could buy this, $20 Cat 6 Ethernet cable,
Yep.
and I'm still going to be faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Than
Yeah.
you on the Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
But the fact that there will be competition,
Mhm.
that's what I'm fucking excited
It's
about.
a step in foundation.
Yeah.
Like the foundation has stopped at a certain point,
Mhm.
and this is gonna put that next layer, that next 10 feet of foundation that we need.
yeah. That's the thing. He solved that problem of the high cost and infrastructure.
Mhm.
I'm sure he spent a stupid amount of money sending all those satellites up that he's been sending up.
But he still has money.
But he still has money. But
But this
that money that he's
Yeah.
being sent, that is being invested in this, is for global internet access.
Yeah.
It's not
and for fucking trillions of dollars,
right.
that he's gonna fucking make.
Think of the amount of users that you can access now. It's not let me
Yeah.
spend all this money just to set up these fucking copper cables in one city.
Uh-huh.
It's let's give the whole planet internet access.
Yeah.
Fuck AT&T and giving them government money.
Uh-huh.
Give Elon government money.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the one to actually bring internet to those fucking rural parts of the country.
Mhm.
Yeah. It
Um,
it amazes me.
Into the mic.
It amazes me that the people in charge will be like, and if you think about net neutrality, like the reason it was repealed was because the FCC chairman was saying that it stifles investments and it stifles infrastructure. But
he was trying to say it would help with competition.
yeah.
Oh,
Which
isn't that
is
what
bullshit.
they said
Which
about
is
the
bullshit.
fucking bill that you just read?
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
But it amazes
100%.
It amazes me that the people in charge will say that. Will say this stifles investments and stifles infrastructure, but they will go and lobby against fucking countrywide fiber and will say, "You know what? No, 10 megabytes download speed is okay." Like what the
Yeah.
fuck is that? How does this stifle investments when you're not even investing in anything anyway? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How's this stifling your investment? Right? You're fine with
the
giving a fucking
the people in power are stifling investment
Yeah,
infrastructure.
Jesus
Mhm.
Christ. It's and I was reading too in that article is that they were saying that every farmer now needs like some sort of internet access,
Yeah.
and 10 megabyte speed
Dude.
isn't cutting it.
Dude, farming, the amount of technology in farming now is ridiculous.
Dude.
The tools they use, the tractors, they're basically robotic.
They're autonomous.
Yeah.
I got an internship offer that I was so close to accepting just because of how dope it was to work with John Deere, because to work on their autonomous tractors project. I'm like, dude, that is fucking dope,
Dude, so one of the total stations I use, it's from a brand called Trimble, right? So I go on their website because I'm trying to like learn more about this machine, right? I go on their website, they're mainly fucking advertising their equipment for tractors and farm, like all that stuff. I'm like, where do I go? You know, like I couldn't find a little category for what I was looking for. It was all about that stuff.
Yeah,
So I believe you when you said that like farmers need some kind of
they
internet.
do.
It's gonna be just like Interstellar, where they just fucking turns that bitch on and it goes.
Let it go.
Yeah, and the fact that AT&T can just be like 10 megabits, sorry, is okay. You know, for us, they're saying it's okay for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? First of all, no, it's not. Right.
No.
Second of all, fuck you.
See, that's the problem too with having politicians that are still like that were born in the 30s or the 40s in power. It's
Making
like
decisions.
yeah, you need younger people like Andrew Yang that see this as a problem, you know? And the benefits that could come from increasing your infrastructure, like financially, I don't see how that would be a problem. In the long run,
It's worth it.
yeah.
And I think, and that's a good point, is that all of these politicians, they're trying to hold on to some like glory day of the U.S. economy when everything was done in factories, when there was heavy machinery. There wasn't such, a stress of computing technology when it comes to the economy. But you need to get with the times, because if you don't, we're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
Everyone else is.
Yeah.
North Korea is, Japan is, right? Even fucking China. And what are we going to do? Hold on to these like factory jobs of Tiny Tim working in the mill? Like, no, you know what I mean? We need to invest in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not in let's do what we did, 80 years ago, because that's what was good.
Yeah.
No, man.
It's just I just feel like it's just it's not even, it's like, it's just ignorance, right? People just don't understand, and it's not willful ignorance. It's just like people just like, they just go with whatever, obviously they only have a couple options, but they just hear like whatever internet speed that they get, and it's like, okay, well, whatever.
I guess that's it.
Like a lot of people obviously use the internet on their phone. They have computers that they use, but they're not like, it's not so much that they're using like their computers and stuff for work. But that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter. The fact that there's a system in place where they think that 10 megabits, god damn it, is okay. It just, and it's not, how is it about money, right? How is it about money with these, like these internet providers have set up a system where they can't lose the most amount of money possible because there's only 3 companies.
Yeah.
So it's not about money at this point. You're gonna make it anyway.
And I've not to go too deep into this topic, but I think that is the flaw of capitalism that a lot of people don't see. Is the idea is supposed to be for competition, but what happens is when a company gets too big, it does the opposite.
Yeah.
There is no competition because they just squash everything that tries,
Yeah.
And I think this, if you want, I'm down to get more into net neutrality.
Yeah,
if you
it's
are.
I think you can't talk about like internet without that, because I think in the future it's like, or even now, it's like one of the most important legislations that could be appealed or repealed, long lasting. And what net neutrality is just like the idea of all internet traffic being equal, right? Like you can't
No premium.
Like so before, like pre 2015, right? We didn't have that. It was put into place in 2015, but you have these long list of occurrences where, like Comcast, there was an incident where they slowed down Netflix for their internet users because Netflix wasn't paying them enough. But it becomes this issue where like they can obviously redirect traffic, right?
Or just throttle.
That too, but then it becomes a point where they can almost control like intelligence, right? They can control what
Information.
people go to.
Yeah.
They can control like
Or it's like another way too of them saying like, if you want better Netflix speeds,
Pay
Pay
sign
an
up for our $9.99 a
exactly.
month
An extra-
premium
yeah.
Netflix package.
an extra $10 will get
Yeah.
you that extra speed.
exactly. And I actually just read about this today, but I think it was in 2017. Do you guys remember when all the fires were happening? Not this year, but like also like a couple years ago in California.
Like every year.
Well, I think this was like
What fire are we talking about?
thi-
There was like 30
it
in the
was
last
in,
fucking
Oh,
5 years.
I think I know what you're talking
It's
about.
a-
Where they were
it-
throttling.
it was in Santa Clara. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were
speeds for like
for fire departments.
Yeah, for fire
Verizon was doing
departments.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, I
and
do remember
they
that.
remember that.
couldn't effectively send information to get like emergency like medical personnel to certain areas or like other firefighters because of a system that firefighters use that uses like a lot of like data.
Mm-hmm.
And Verizon was throttling down like their fucking internet because they were using too much of it, and they weren't spending their service plan was like only like a certain cap, right? If you use like, obviously that's for anything. If you use like a 25 gigabytes, right, of data, right, not gigabits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they use 25 gigabytes, and,
They're gonna
past
throttle
that,
you.
they're gonna throttle you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just gonna like become a thing where the thing that they're trying to use is like almost useless because
Yeah.
it's so throttled, like, you know.
It's almost unusable.
But they found out. So it had been an issue before that incident of that wildfire. That and I was reading a whole bunch of emails about the fire department sending Verizon, like, listen, like we need more like
More bandwidth.
more bandwidth. We need more of this. We need more of that. And they were saying, well, you know, if you upgrade to our 99,
And Verizon said, "Fuck you.
Pay us more money.
Let
Right.
that bitch burn."
and I was just like, dude, are you kidding me? But this is like, you know, this is what things are becoming. It's like they can do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They can do that. And I don't know. It was just like I was reading this and I was just like,
Getting heated.
oh my god.
Remember
this is
when
happening.
internet was becoming a thing on your cell phone? You know, and you don't accidentally click the web app because you're automatically getting charged like $10 just for
Yeah.
opening it, you know?
And it was just shitty fucking HTML. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Didn't even look good.
Yeah.
dude? Man, yeah, I remember before, because I have unlimited now. I remember before we only had a certain cap, and I would always get my mom would always get me in trouble.
I would
For
I
internet
would
or
always
going
go
over.
I would always go over.
But I was just like, fuck, dude, I don't even know what I'm just on the internet on my phone. I
Bro,
don't even know what I'm doing
remember
half the time.
remember when you didn't even have unlimited texting?
yeah,
Yeah.
You
I
only
would
had a
always
certain
go
number
over.
of texts?
I would always go over.
What the fuck is that, dude?
Right? It's just like, I mean, I want to say that things have gotten a little better, just because now I have unlimited and before I didn't. But
Wait, when did you get unlimited?
it's been years. Not
Okay.
a couple years, but
I didn't get a smartphone until I want to say sophomore year of high school.
No shit.
Yeah. I didn't have a smartphone.
uh,
So I think
wanna
like
say
the
me too.
summer after my freshman year. I
Mm.
didn't. That's when I first got my first smartphone. And I think by that point it was already pretty common getting like
Yeah, I think me too.
unlimited packages.
I
Yeah.
think me too.
Yeah.
I had the Galaxy 3.
I had a shitty Android.
Yeah, I had mine was a
Yeah.
Galaxy as well.
Yeah. The Galaxy 3 was the shit.
Dude, it was.
Yeah.
That thing was like ahead of its time for a while. And then what was
Yeah.
it, the iPhone 4 that came out?
Yeah.
That was its only main
See,
competition after
that's
that.
the thing. My first iPhone was like I want to say like a 6 or a 7. Like the 6S
I think it was a 6
or something.
Yeah, it
mine,
was a
mine was
6.
6S because
Yeah.
I was super against iPhone for some reason. I don't know.
I was too,
I
yeah.
was like, nah,
Yeah.
Android.
Yeah.
Android was a shit.
Remember the old Android that like had the screen that flipped up and it had the full keyboard?
Is that the Sidekick or something
No,
else?
no, it wasn't. No, you're thinking of fucking
Yeah, that
God, what was
that
it?
was the
The Sidekicks.
that was the
that-
shit.
I
too.
wanted one
Yeah.
so
No, but it
bad.
was like a giant square, and it just the screen just slid up, and it had a full keyboard.
That's not the Sidekick.
No, the Sidekick did like
the
this
Sidekick
fucking-
like turn. What was the
Yeah.
company that only had it?
Sidekick. I think it was.
There's only one company. It wasn't Sprint. It was the
T-Mobile.
The Sidekick
T-Mobile.
phone?
Yeah, it was T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Because it was like this, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking of like a different Android.
Oh, it's a different one.
yeah.
I remember. And then before that, I wanted the Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
The
those were
Razr-
I thought those were
The
so
Razrs
cool.
are fucking cool. Remember the cell phone Tony Stark had in the first Iron Man?
Yeah.
I had that phone.
What was that? That was like a Virgin Mobile phone, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or no. I think I had Verizon.
What phone is it?
I don't even remember the name of it. I love that phone.
Let me see if I can
I
find
used to
it.
text like a fucking madman with the what was that style of texting where it kind of like guessed where you click the fucking numpad so much and then you go to the letter and then you go to the next letter. Like that's man.
I don't remember.
I can't fucking remember.
It was like a different level of like autocomplete.
Yes, yeah.
Is it this one?
Very basic. Yes, dude. What
It's
is the name of
LG.
that?
I'm trying to find the name. It just says LG phone.
Oh my god. That phone was the shit to me.
LG VX9 400. I don't know.
See, part of me really wants to get rid of my iPhone and go back to something simple like that and just live in the Stone Age again.
Oh man, there's no way in hell to go back to this, dude. I remember when I got like my first smartphone and I looked at my old, because I had like that Nokia that just would slide up.
Oh
And
yeah,
then it had
yeah,
the
yeah.
little- and I remember looking at that and be like, dude, like there's nothing to do on this. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do on this.
I had the old Nokia. It was a small one. It was just an old solid one, and it had fucking Pong on it.
Oh
or,
shit.
Or
Yeah.
Snake.
Snake,
Dude.
yes, Snake, yeah,
I'd always steal my mom's phone. She had a Nokia too.
To play
fucking Snake.
yeah.
Never
I had a
won.
really small AT&T little flip open phone. It was like the
Mm.
first time that they started introducing like cameras on the phone. You know, so that was a big fucking deal.
It's
Of course, the
crazy.
pictures were all shit.
Yeah, dude. This is an important subject. I think everyone should know. Everyone should know what they're getting, and it's like hard to realize like a solution and what we should do. You know what I mean? Because it might be this way for forever, essentially, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Until there's some regulation put into place.
Yeah.
It's just like it's scary because internet service providers like control so much. You know, like the internet is this massive, its own entity, and the fact that they control that is like, it's kind of scary, right? Because we can't
Yeah.
imagine a world without internet now,
Yeah.
right?
Dude, the world would stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about
Completely.
like and people always like think of just like entertainment, like, oh yeah, you can't watch YouTube. No, like think about systems that are on computers that control like phone traffic for 911 dispatch,
Traffic lights. Your-
deliveries for food,
Your water. Your water. Your
Lit-
gas lines.
that dude, gas pumps. Like there's literally
Yeah.
you need gas pumps to work, or you need
Yeah.
electricity to work gas pumps. You need computers to work gas pumps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's
Mhm.
fucking crazy.
I think we need people like Elon Musk, or even I bet Amazon could do it if they wanted to.
Probably.
Everyone uses their cloud service or
Yeah.
their servers for their shit. If he wanted to, he really could just say, you know what?
I'm gonna compete with these motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw my own lines in the fucking ground, and guess what? I'm gonna charge half the fucking price for it, and people are gonna get 2 gig internet speed. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to become a thing, because like obviously with these ISPs, it's obviously with them it's like money, right? Money, profit. What can we do
That's all it
to make
is.
the most profit? It's the internet has to become a thing where like Andrew Yang, like it's a right, right? Everyone
Mhm.
should have it. It has to be a thing where it's what's better for the people.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of these older people in power, they always take it as like you don't know how good you have it type of thing. Like I don't even know the word. What's the word? Like an ungrateful type of thing. Like, oh, you guys are so ungrateful. You expect fast internet, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about that. It's if you want our country to grow, if you want our generation to compete with the generations that are coming of other countries, you need to provide that.
Yeah.
Or again, we're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And I hate how when it comes to stuff like that, a lot of that generation are so quick to say like, oh, you guys are so soft. You wouldn't survive back in my day. It's like, do you want it to still be back in your day? Is that like what
Yeah.
you're saying? Or like, do you want us to have it harder than you? Like, is that how it should
I
be from
know.
generation to generation? Like, it's harder or not as, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It shouldn't be easier generation. I would imagine that I would want my kids to have it even easier, more access to information, more opportunities to be successful. What the fuck's going on
Yeah,
here?
dude.
Like, what are you so mad about? You're gonna die in the next 20 years anyways.
Dude, like I hate that argument, but I understand it from a certain to a certain extent. When old people are like, "Oh, you don't know how good you have it," like, well, fucking, I'm sorry you were born in 1930, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that argument because that'll be said to a crowd of young people, right?
yeah,
And then that same old person will go home to the child that they made sure that they have a better life than they did prior.
yeah,
Yeah.
Your ignorance is fucking showing, and you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Stop. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I'm sorry.
stop preaching to me,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
You grew up
Why
in the
can't
time
we-
you grew up.
Why
Sorry.
can't we just want better for people?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a fucking pissing contest of
Yeah.
who has it harder?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Yeah, it's not harder. I don't want it to be
Yeah,
harder.
like-
I don't want it to be harder for
I'm
my
sorry.
kids.
There's fucking technological innovation and like
Yeah.
advancement. I'll fucking fuck me, right? Like, Jesus Christ.
I think that's what like frustrates me so much about, because I think it was last time we were talking about like the best time to be alive. Was it? Or was it the episode before? Do you remember? We were saying like people will say, fuck, when was it? I know we've said this before though.
Yeah, it might
People
have
will
been a
say
while.
like, oh, you know, I wish I lived in the 40s.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, no, like right now is the time to live with
Every day
with
you're
technology.
here. Yes, yeah.
The one thing though that I do get a little jealous of is the attitude that people had in like the mid to 80s, early 90s about the future. They were like, everything was about how great the future was going to be.
Everyone's
Everything,
eyes were open.
yeah, everybody was pushing towards like
Back to the Future came
technological
out.
innovation. Yeah.
We were gonna have flying cars. Everyone was stoked
What
about
the
that.
fuck happened?
Yeah.
What the fuck happened that stopped? Now everyone's like, they wanted. It seems like the people in power want everything to be the same.
Yeah.
Mm.
Why?
I don't know.
I think it's because the Terminator movie came out. and
Yeah.
that fucked up everyone's.
Skynet, bro.
That's fucked up everyone's
Y2K.
perspective. Technology.
I want that to happen now.
Y2K. It was Y2K. That's what it was.
That too. Yeah. Y2K probably.
That was so stupid.
All the bombs were gonna go off. Why?
What was it that computers couldn't handle another zero or something like that?
It was that they couldn't handle like the turn of the millennium to go into 2000. Yeah, that it was like.
You see,
I don't know,
like
that was gonna break everything.
I envy that too. I envy like the advancement that the late 80s and how you're saying early 90s
Or
people
it's
were.
just the vibe, the energy, you know.
But what I'm glad we don't have is like fucking theories like Y2K.
Man, what do you mean? Remember 2012? Everybody
Yeah.
thought the world's gonna fucking
Oh,
end
yeah.
for literally no reason.
Yeah.
Just because they misread like the Mayan calendar. They misunderstood it.
You have to imagine though that like during like fucking midnight going into 2012, there had to be an earthquake somewhere. And
That
people were
freaked
fucking
someone out?
hysterical.
It's
you know?
happening.
Oh my god!
I love you, daddy.
I love you, daddy.
But yeah,
I love you, daddy.
I had a thought. Fucking left my brain.
I think what makes me feel really negative sometimes is like, I know I'm not like the smartest dude in the country, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not the smartest people. We're not these crazy, like, fucking geniuses. But even we can see the absurdity in what a lot of these people believe that are in power.
Mm.
It blows my mind. I can't understand. I try my best to have some empathy towards these people, towards like these ignorant people. But I just don't understand. I feel like if you are of sound mind, it should jump out at you that you're wrong.
Fuck that. Even as an American, if AT&T tells you that's good enough for you, as an American, that would piss me off. How dare you say what is good enough for me, pal?
Right? Like,
I decide what's good enough for me.
that's what I don't understand, man. I just don't understand. Or like the whole net neutrality thing. How can people think, yes, this is the right move? We should allow companies to charge and throttle their bandwidth how they please. It has to just be that they're either really that dumb or they really care about money that fucking much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, I'm hoping things change because obviously the internet is very prevalent in everybody's life. But when it starts to get more prevalent and it's like, okay, like you need this now, right?
Yeah.
This is something you need.
We need it.
At home.
We
Yeah.
need it.
Like at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Even homes
Can't deny
being
it.
built today are smart homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your home is connected to the internet.
That is one thing, man, because, like, the generations after us or younger than us, they, like, grew up with fucking iPads in their crib, right? There ain't no way in hell you're going to take their fucking internet away from them.
Fucking A right, yeah.
They're going to be the ones to riot over slow internet speed.
The other thing that bothers me about, politicians are the ones that may push for, like, future, like, electric cars and a cleaner environment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, if you have an electric car, you're going to need the internet, right?
Yeah.
At some point, yeah, because if we keep moving more autonomous, like,
Where are you
if
gonna
you don't
get
get
your
that
software
update,
updates?
yeah, if you don't get that
Bro,
update,
isn't that the
you're
weirdest?
gonna take the wrong right off a fucking bridge.
Dude, isn't that weird? Like, I'm pretty sure at some point in our lives we'll reach a point where we say, "Hey, sorry, I'm late for work."
Dude, I was just
my
thinking
car
that.
had an update.
I was just thinking
I
that.
had to wait till the
I was
update
just thinking
finished.
that.
The fucking power went out during my update.
Yeah.
Shit
Dude,
out of luck.
I was just thinking that in terms of excuses. Like, I can't come to work today. I haven't got my software update on my car.
Like, what the hell?
That's gonna be a fucking excuse one day. But it's obviously it could be the complete opposite side of the coin when I say that. Is that I want people to start to realize that this is something that you need and are gonna need. But it's like when it becomes more needed, it's like will these companies take more advantage of it, type of thing.
That's what kind of sucks. That's where the trends are going.
Yeah.
Is that as it becomes more needed, it's not that the service is getting better, the prices are going up.
Yeah.
And there's a graph that I found, but I didn't write down what it was, or I didn't take a screenshot, but it was showing that the change in the cost of internet versus the change in people's, like, salaries, and it's just the ratios. It's just not equal. The growth has not been equal. The price of internet has gone up like crazy, and for what? We're not getting anything better, really.
What was that video that I sent you guys? Didn't the guy say that, like, South Korea, like, their
It's like 2 or
speed is like what 10 times faster, and the prices of
probably.
our internet are 10 times more expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about that.
Yeah.
People at home, think about that.
Yeah. Think about.
And that video was like what 5-6 years
Dude,
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hit it right in the head still. I mean, just think about if you're living in the greatest country in the world
We're not.
or not. Yeah.
It's for us. We're not. For some people, it's the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a very American ideal to think that you live in the greatest country. Because I'm sure if you go in other countries in the world, no one's thinking like that. They're just enjoying life. You know,
Yeah.
it's just an American ideal. Oh, I'm in the best country. Bitch, like, you go to other first world countries, they're not thinking, oh, I'm in the best country in the world. Like, fuck that place, you know?
Yeah.
No one cares.
And that comment, best country in the world, was quoted. So, it's like, yeah.
Dude, it blows my mind. I was I'll say that after the episode because we're just gonna go down another rabbit hole that's like completely unrelated.
Yeah, let's go get some fucking food.
Let's do it. Any last thoughts before I wrap
What are your
this mug
thoughts?
up?
No.
No?
I mean, no.
All right. This
Well, look, we say fuck ATT, we say fuck the internet and all that, you know, but we're still uploading.
no, not fuck the internet, man. Fuck the ISPs, bro.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fuck the
That's right.
companies that don't want to compete and they want to keep their profit margins high.
Comcast can suck my nuts.
For real, dude.
And you politicians that are like taking money from these people, whether it's directly or indirectly, shame. Shame on you. Do what's right. You know what's right. You know what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Man,
Do it.
don't do it for yourself.
Don't do it.
Do it for the generations to come,
Do
man.
it for the
There's like a
generations.
quote for that, right? Like great men plant seeds for trees that they know they won't sit beneath. Or something like that.
No, yeah, I was right.
They
about that.
they grow trees for shade that they won't be
Yeah.
able to enjoy.
They grow trees.
So fucking man up, man. Take some mushrooms and get your ego in check.
Yeah. You pieces of shit.
That being said, thanks for listening. I love all you motherfuckers
Yeah.
listening out there. You know, Antonio, get your shit together.
Yeah. Listen, you cocksuckers.
We
We hate our slow ass internet speeds.
yeah, what the fuck, man? Trying to stream 4K videos, no particular reason. Once in, always in. Thank you for joining the circle. Goodbye.
Yeah. Shit internet speeds. Spectrum, you suck too. Want to charge me $200 just to install something that you're probably not even installing. It's probably like a fucking same box. And some dude on the other line is just flipping a switch like, oh, now he gets full speed. You fucking cocksuckers. I hate all of you, okay? I hate all of you. But all you watching and listening, I love the shit out of you. I hope you come back next week. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the shit out of you. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. Don't let the man get you down. And we'll see you in the next one.
You gotta play. You know what? Fuck AT&T. Fuck Comcast. Fuck Spectrum. Fuck all the ISPs out there. Fuck all the people making the decisions. I'm sorry your wife fucking hates you. I don't know why you hate your life. You have all the fucking money in the world. Listen, all we want here is better internet speeds. Please. And on that note, God bless your mother. Milsy night. See you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, next time.